Hello, this is German filmmaker Werner Herzog speaking. I am recording this commentary in a bottle in the hopes that someday someone might find this audio and know the true terror of our captivity in this strange place. The madness is beginning to take hold. Refn has taken to peeing in jam jars. This is in spite of the fact that we have a working toilet. The inveterate hipster merely wishes to recreate scenes from Martin Scorsese's The Aviator. If I hear him say, "Show me the blueprints one more time," I am going to allow Lars to violate him. But I would also like to speak to the nature of my latest documentary, Voles Eat Where My Tortoise Does Not, footage of which you are currently watching. The gentleman with the long blonde hair is the Peruvian hermit Lene Barbey, the subject of this documentary. The assembled scene forms an analogy for the inner world of this South American celiac. It is part of what I have coined aesthetic truth. That is, that place of authenticity where fantasy meets fact. What von Trier has disparagingly referred to as total bullshit. But we will no longer give the words of a man who is essentially a glorified sex offender any further credence. By this stage in the documentary, Lene had completely convinced himself that the stain he had found in his tuna can was indeed the image of L. Ron Hubbard. The religious experience that opened up to him as a result was truly transformative. Selling all of his belongings, he paid ridiculous amounts for remote Scientology courses, stealthily making his way up through the levels of operating Thetan. Yet, in his own mind, his engram still clung to him like crab louse, hence all the constant crabbing movements you see here. The bird within the cage, at one time only an emergency snack for Lene, came to be, in my mind, the clear and free soul trapped within the man. The metronome standing in for the unceasing, relentless march of time, and the repetition of Lene's movements from the fireplace to the chair, representing the unending journey of his soul over countless lifetimes, always circling the runway, never arriving in the town of free and clear. Ultimately, this drove the hapless albino completely mad. Not once during this documentary did Lene allow for his face to be filmed. Neither especially ugly nor private. He simply believed that if his face ended up on film, that somewhere in the world someone would steal it. When I tried to reassure him that I myself had been filmed and that my face had remained my own, he accused me of being Satan and promptly shat on a grip. Following a peroxide bath and the burning of the grip's clothes, filming resumed. The children seen here badly out of focus were at one time Lene's own. When his wife returned one day to find that Lene had sold them in order to purchase an e-meter, she took the family's last guinea pig and split for Ecuador. Lene barely noticed. The Dianetic process had consumed him. The only hope I had left for the man was to try and convince him that Hubbard was merely a self-serving sociopathic grifter, and that his pyramid scheme religion was designed only to fleece the vulnerable, the narcissistic, and the woefully stupid. But even after forcing Lene to watch the documentary Free and Clear, and explaining the laughably asinine inventions of the Xenu myth, Lene would not be swayed. A kernel of the belief that he could not get better without outside intervention would always remain. I am speaking of that childlike need to self-punish, to take the blame for when our parents would fight. Self-damnation to try and make sense of a cruel world utterly beyond our comprehension. And I can think of no better representation of that foolish notion than the hideous glowworm you now see in Lene's hands. Looking into that unsettling toy's eyes is to stare into the abyss. Nothing beyond but the incredible flat stupidity of its gaze, like that of a chicken. The only thing more terrifying is the smell coming off of Reffin's jam jars. And with that truly disturbing sensory image, I, Werner Herzog, leave you.